couple of people in Texas that really want a little bit of help on their principles course. And so it's Thanksgiving weekend, and I'm in my red because I only wear red, well, this Christmas red, after Thanksgiving. And we're working on going towards Christmas. So we are in the principles course, which is Principles of Real Estate, first section, and it's in this book that I'm working out of. And it's what I'm going through is Principles of Real Estate with an emphasis on Texas. And I'll mention some things about California. If you're doing a state that I'm not mentioning and you want me to help you with your principles course in your state, what I want you to go ahead and do and put it in our chat. And anything that's in our chat, I'll look at, because I'm thinking the next state I'm going to go to is Florida and maybe Georgia. So if you have a state you want me to help you with, make sure you put it in the chat. So here we go. We are in the book of principles, and we ended up on page 10, and the only thing that we missed on page 10 was at the very bottom of the page. It talks about durability. And let me put the glasses on. I keep losing all my glasses. I don't know where they go. Anyway, I try to keep this class fun and not boring. So durability, real estate is durable because real estate's not going anywhere. A building that can last for decades or even centuries, and the land underneath it is practically indestructible. Because of this, real estate market has modeled as a stock flow market. About 98%, you might want to note that, 98% consist of stock of existing houses, while 2% consist of new flow from development. So they're saying that 98% of your sales is going to be residential or commercial, whatever's already built, and then 2% of it will be new development, okay? Remember those numbers in case you get a question on that. The stock of real estate supply in any period is determined by the existing stock in the previous period. The rate of deterioration, the rate of deterioration of existing stock, the rate of renovation of existing stock, plus the flow of new development in the current period. The effect of the real estate market adjustments tend to be mitigated by the relatively large stock of existing buildings. So some of the stuff in here I don't think you're going to have any questions on, because I don't know how much of that's going to be on your state exam. But going on to high cost of transactions and actual cost of transactions, and this is the cost of transactions in general. So buying and or moving into a home costs much more than most types of transactions. Of course it does. You got things that you never think you're going to have to spend money on. It just comes up, and as a homeowner, you got to pay for it. Expenses include search cost, real estate fees, moving cost, legal fees, and transfer tax and deed registration fees. So fees are different depending on what state you're in and sometimes what county you're in. Because I know in California, in LA County, they will not record special. So recording special is when your client goes in and signs their loan documents, they fund their actual loan funds, and then it records. And then in some places like Orange County, you can fund and record on the same day and get your keys. But in LA County, you have to do what's called record special, and sometimes they won't let you do it, especially on a holiday weekend. So different counties, so always ask, if I fund on Thursday, can I record on Friday and get my keys? Or do I have to fund on, wait till Monday? Because you don't want to fund on Friday. If you fund on Friday and you can't get your keys, then your client is paying interest on their mortgage for Saturday and Sunday, and they don't get to use it. So everything is about your client. Everything's geared towards your client. Think about, if I was my client, would I want to fund on Thursday, record on Friday, and get my keys? Or would I want to fund on Friday and not get my keys till Monday? Probably not, right? So depending on the county, you got to know all that stuff. And when you start working with a real estate office in your area, once you get your license, you'll be able to ask them questions about this different types of things. Especially, they should be following you every step of the way on your first few deals so that you don't mess up. All right, so going back to the cost. So we have cost of legal fees, and that's why, different states are different fees, because in California, we don't have legal fees because we have escrow. And if you have a settlement company instead of escrow, that's going to cost you different things. So legal fees, land transfer fees, and deed registration fees. Transactions costs for sellers typically range between 1.5% and 6% of the purchase price. That's a big spread, 1.5% to 6%. I guess it depends if they're going to pay for the buyer's real estate agent. So 1.5 to 6% of the purchase price. In some countries, like in continental Europe, transaction costs for both the buyer and the seller can range from 15 to 20%. So when they say that we're expensive in the US, they're so wrong, because it says 15 to 20% in European areas. Long time delays. So a lot of times you'll have delays. So don't freak out if something's running late. You just have to get an extension, but it's better to try to meet the terms. So you know what it's better to do? It's better to make an extended term. Like you may say that, oh, my client can close in 25 days or my client can close in 30 days. Well, if they can close in 30 days, go for a 35 or a 40-day escrow. If they can close in 45 days, then you might want to stay with the 45 days. So it all depends on your client. So going on with long-term delays. The market adjustment process is subject to time delays due to the length of time it takes to finance, design, and construct new supply, and due to the relatively slow rate of change of demand. So because of these lags, there's a great potential for a short term, for things to happen in the short term as opposed to going as fast as you want them to go. Adjustment mechanisms tend to be slow relative to more fluid markets. So some of these things in here, like I said, don't overthink them. Just see what things that you need to know in order to pass the test in each chapter, okay? So both an investment good and a consum. I can't say half the words in this thing, I swear. Our books, like we have some easier books in California. Consummation goods or I'm probably not even going to let this one stay up. I'm probably just going to start all over again, because this, I'm telling you, when I started highlighting this book, I'm sorry that anybody's even watching, right? When I started reading this book, I got to this page 11, and they have stuff in here that I'm like, do they really want these people to learn this? Because you're never going to use it, and you might be tested on it. So I don't know, maybe 20 people will see this and they'll go, God, she can't even read. But I just don't have these words in California. So I'm wondering what you'll really need there's like 3 paragraphs that use these long words that personally, if this was my book, I'd take it out, because it's probably not anything that you're going to need. So let's see, what do you need on page 11? Let's go into immobility. How about that? It says real estate is immobile except for mobile homes. That's funny, huh? I like that. Except mobile homes. However, the land underneath them is still immobile. Consumers can come to the good rather than to the good going to the consumer. Because of this, there can be no physical marketplace. Okay, so basically they're talking about mobile homes, and they're saying that mobile homes are mobile except for if you have them connected to the ground. Now, in California, real estate agents are not allowed to sell mobile homes because we have to sell mobile homes that are connected to the ground. So let's see what else this says about that. So, for example, if tastes change and more people demand suburban homes, people will find housing in the suburbs because it's impossible to bring their existing homes to the lot so you can't move them. So obviously mobile homes are mobile, but you can't move them if they're connected to the ground. That's what they're saying. Literally, that page in this book is the worst page I've ever seen. I don't know how much of it's going to be on your exam. But let's get into, how about this? Real estate law. I like that one. Real estate law. So real estate law. There are many sources of law that affect real estate. Federal law comes from the U.S. Constitution, including laws passed by Congress. State laws include the Texas State Constitution, laws passed by the state legislative, and laws passed by local government. Easy stuff so far. Common laws also affect real estate. These laws result in court decisions and customs. And I know that you have to pay attention to everything that goes on in your local area, because you never know when local areas are going to put together rent control or sign ordinances. Like here in California, we had a problem with one of the cities. They did not want they did not want real estate agents to post open house signs. Well, if we can't post open house signs, how are we going to get people to our open house, right? So that's why you have to pay attention to local and state laws. So it says common laws also affect real estate. These laws result in court decisions and customs. Agency law, contract law, landlord-tenant law, and real estate law are all state laws. So fair housing law is a federal law. You better know that. I would say highlight that if you have this book. It says landlord laws, contract law, agency law that we'll probably be talking about later, and real estate license laws are all state laws. Federal fair housing laws are federal laws. Got that? Going on to real estate law is very extensive subject. Ooh, this is going to be fun, right? So I hope you guys didn't leave because of that last page. That last page was a doozy. And I'm a teacher, so how about that? Hopefully the people who have this book don't go, God, she's a retard. I'm sorry I said that word. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I said that. Because back in the day we could say that and it wasn't a bad word. Anyway, so let's go on to real estate law. My business partner hates when I slip on a bad word. I'm super sorry. Anyway, real estate law is very extensive. There are many aspects of real estate that require the expertise of an attorney. So we don't use attorneys most of the time in a transaction in California, but it sounds like you do in Texas. In the past, a real estate attorney mainly dealt with drawing up the legal documents, deeds and deeds of trusts, and contracts, contract negotiation, contract disputes, property rights of either or both parties in a transaction, and litigating lawsuits between brokers. And their clients, and between brokers and their agents. Whoa, people and their agents are fighting. You don't want to fight with your broker. Anyway, so contract law is using attorneys in Texas. Over the years, however, real estate law has expanded to include more attorney involvement in legal aspects of the government's powers of acquisition of a property. So acquisition is when you're acquiring the property. You need to know that word acquisition. Eminent domain, condemnation and adverse possession, agency and representation issues, contract law, discrimination law, security laws, land use laws, which is zoning and zoning ordinances, legal issues arising from liens like a mechanic's lien, tax lien, etc. The many laws involved in Texas being a community property state. So Texas is a community property state. So you guys, when you're married and you're in a community property state, what's mine is his and what's his is mine and what's ours is ours. So you have to know that. So Texas is a community property state and legal issues that arise from that and probate and estate laws. Another specialty and encompassing areas of laws. So I like to use books that are super easy. In California, I use a book that's Walt Hubert, or sometimes I call him Hubbard. Anyway, his book, anyone can read his book and pass and understand real estate principles. And I might have to look for different books for Texas. I don't know. We'll keep going through this book and see how it is. But right now I can tell you that they started out on this page, on page 12, about real estate law. And they go into all these words that I know what they mean, but you might not know what they mean. So when they did that, they started here and they just said acquisition of property, and it said eminent domain, condemnation, adverse possession. And it doesn't, we're looking at this book and nowhere did we learn about those words yet. So when you're starting off with real estate law, I don't know if they're going to have me go through those words, but I don't think new students would understand those words. For instance, eminent domain, what does that mean? Eminent domain means, let's say that you live in a house and it's back to a street. And let's say that the city decides that they're going to make that street wider. And the only way to make it wider is to take a little bit of everybody's backyard that lines up to that street. So what happens is the government comes in and says, okay, we're going to take the first 5 feet of your backyard. And don't worry, we're going to give you fair market value. We're going to give you compensation, but we have to use it for public use. So eminent domain is when the government, the city or the county comes in and buys part of your property for public use. So they have to pay you, but it has to be for public use. So let's say that there's a really good neighborhood and a perfect area for a community college. Well, they may take it by eminent domain and they'll buy up all the houses in that community and they'll put a community college there, but they'll pay everybody for it. So the two main things about eminent domain is they have to pay you fair market value, which is just compensation. Fair market value and just compensation are the same thing. And it has to be for public use. So that's eminent domain. The other one on here that they mention besides eminent domain is adverse possession. And adverse possession is where you can actually kind of steal someone's home. That's kind of a bad thing, but adverse possession exists. And there's usually 5 different things you have to do with adverse possession. But the main 3 things is, number 1, you have to possess the property. Okay. You have to live in it open and notoriously to everybody. So people in the neighborhood have to know that you're driving up, you're moving in, you're living there. You have to do it, number 2, against the will of the owner. So against the will of the owner and open and notoriously. And the other thing is you have to pay the property taxes for 5 years in a row. Once you pay the property taxes for 5 years in a row, you can go into a court of law and you can show the judge, look, I paid the property taxes for 5 years. I took possession of the property against the owner's will, and this is adverse possession, and I want clear title given to me on this property. That's adverse possession, okay? So I taught you 2 things today that were really important: adverse possession and eminent domain. Now, another thing it says in here that you probably don't know about is mechanics liens and tax liens. So mechanics lien is what happens with a mechanics lien is, I'd like to call them a contractor's lien. It's when you don't pay your contractor or you don't pay for the building materials. So I know that I've gone kind of long, but I did kind of screw up on one page. So that one says mechanics liens. So I think mechanics liens should be called contractor's liens, because it's when you don't pay your contractor or you don't pay for the materials used on your home for home improvements, and they put a lien against your house, and they can take position of a lien earlier than they record it because it's a contractor's lien. But the other one on here, it says tax lien, and that's when you don't pay your property taxes. So I probably had a couple screw ups on this, but hey, I'm not an actress, I'm just a teacher, and I'm teaching you out of the Texas book to help you out. Usually when I do an area that I already know about, it's easier for me, but I promised a couple people in Texas that I'd go over this book for them. So we are starting tomorrow. We're not doing tomorrow, it's the weekend. We do Monday through Friday. We try to do anytime after about 11, because from 10:30 to 11, I do a video that's on general stuff that anybody that's thinking about buying, selling, or being in real estate, you can watch those and learn something. Or you can join us and learn some of the principles of real estate that are very similar to any principles in most other states. There's certain quirky things that other states have that different states don't have. So thank you for joining me. If you saw part of it and you want to just watch it, you can actually put it on fast forward and listen to me really fast. And when it's something interesting, you can slow it down. So anyway, have an amazing weekend. It is a holiday weekend, and I'll see you on Monday, but probably in the morning. Have a great weekend, like I said. Thank you for joining. Bye.